do I want to be right or do I want to be a part of a team? Right. And there's such a difference in how you approach people, how you connect with people, how you think about what your role is in a discussion or a debate or an argument when you kind of frame up what your end objective is. I decided that I want to be a part of a team. So, okay, not being right. Actually, most of the time, it's fine.
I'm sure that took some patience and practice.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely took the better part of 15 years, and I still struggle with it now. Yeah, I'm fortunate to be surrounded by people that remind me of my commitment to that objective.
That you're committed to being part of this team. So
yes. Don't always push to be right.
So those are some big ones. Those are hard ones. I think those are probably true for any leader. It's interesting hearing both of those. I often think it varies by person, so there's no fair way to kind of put a box on it. But it seems like a lot of those learnings happen in our 30s and 40s.
Okay.
I don't know if that was true for you, but it seems like, at least from my experience personally and even with my clients, that ability to be able to be patient, step back, pause, not react. It takes time to learn that.
Yep. You just reminded me of one of my first projects. We can go back to that if you want, because that happened in my 20s. So I was new to consulting, and that patience to reflect was nowhere in the vicinity of me. Right. I really operated off of a sense of massive urgency. Whatever the problem was, I've got to fix it very quickly. Everything, to me, somehow I'd wired my mind to think that everything is a life or death situation. And one of my first projects, I was an analyst at Accenture, and my manager came to me and said, "Okay, this has got to be done. We've got to get these things communicated out to hundreds of branches, bank branches, within 24, 48 hours. Figure it out." My figure it out mind was just go figure it out. And I think the approach I took was to proceed to launch hundreds and hundreds of FedEx packages to bank branches all over the country, without just taking that step back and reflecting on, well, is that really going to work? Maybe we need to let the branches know this is about to happen. Maybe we need to think about the cost implications of these things. All of those things, really anything that you could imagine that would have just been resolved if I had reached out for help. If I would have reflected, reached out for help, sought the benefit of other people's experiences. Now, I mean, to be clear, after the 48 hours had passed, I got plenty of feedback on how I could have done that better, and didn't make that mistake again. But I think there's something that hopefully happens to most of us. And you mentioned your 30s and 40s. You're an expert in this field, but I think there is something true there. I don't know if it's a frontal lobe thing, Brandon, or what, but it's something that maybe we get more comfortable incrementally with being vulnerable and asking for help and taking the time to reflect.
I would hope so. Yeah. I think that's a good story to say for sure. I would hope so. So while we're on the topic, what were some of the big kind of learnings you had in your career as a leader that you've kind of embraced and today you see kind of play out in how you lead at North Highland?
Sure, you got it. We talked a little bit about the stopping the overthinking and creating these narratives, and I want to just hone in on that one a bit more. Over time, that becomes an incredibly toxic thing. It became a toxic thing for me. It didn't improve my ability to connect with the problem, connect with the people associated with the problem, and it eroded the gratitude that I had for what was here and now. So I would say that was a major lesson. The overthinking and the creating just unproductive narratives. One that I'm very fond of, this one, is the art of asking a good question. Okay, so
I'm a fan of that one too.
Yeah, questions. I now believe that questions and observations, that are articulated, they need to be bold. They need to be intentional. They need to be grounded in curiosity. They don't need to be grounded in provocation, though. So it's a very slippery slope when you seek to ask questions, and this may be somehow rooted in a Socratic method, right? When you seek to ask questions in a way that drives people to come to not just their own conclusion, but your conclusion, right? And there's a pretty selfish drive associated with that. So I've changed how I ask questions. I still slide back every now and then, but I think long and hard, it's led me, Brandon, to ask fewer questions actually, but just ask the ones that matter the most. So phrasing questions in ways that exhibit my curiosity, so I can learn more, as opposed to trying to flip some switch in that other person's mind, so that they can move towards my vantage point.
Yeah, right? It's funny. I have a mentor of mine, and he taught me years ago. He said, questions are great. Art of asking great questions, so powerful. And he was trained as a therapist, like I was, which is all about asking questions. But he did caution me on something that makes me think about kind of what you said there. He said, it's a very practical tip. He said, you always want to avoid opening a question with why. Because as soon as you open with why, it implies judgment.
Right.
Like, Brandon, why did you have that pocket square today?
Yeah.
Right? Then also, I'm sorry, I didn't know you didn't like my pocket square. Versus, tell me about that pocket square, which is what you asked me.
That's it.
You asked me to tell you the story of the pocket square. You didn't say, why are you wearing that?
Yeah.
But the why has this implied judgment to it, which can be more you're provoking, right? It's got that.
Be curious, not judgmental.
Yeah, it's got that. It's got that edge to it.
Yeah, it's so hard. So switching back between our work lives and our personal lives, and just being a father of 18-year-old twins, I find myself, especially when I have the most unproductive interactions with my daughters, they spark when I start a conversation with why. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And no doubt I'm being judgmental, right? But for some reason in that moment, I feel like I'm justified in my judgment, right? We're never justified in our judgment, right? That's another human being, right? They're living their life, right? And they're making their choices. It's important for us to, again, be curious, not judgmental.
Yeah, I love that.